Hey guys, and welcome to episode number 5 of my Out of the Park Baseball 21 series with the DuPage Pistol Shrimp. And you can see we got to the end of season 2. We finished 77 and 85. So, pretty significant improvement, 14 game improvement year over year. Yeah, let's take a look at the team real quick and we'll jump into the offseason. So offensively, Gian Q had an absolutely monster season. Only batted 248, but had a 370 on base, 450 slugging, 821 OPS, good for 7.5 WAR. A lot of that was from his base running and his defense, where he was elite. Will probably win the Gold Glove. Led the league with 70 stolen bases, so he was a fine acquisition. Khalil Lee, 3.3 WAR, really good year. Played him primarily against righties. Struggles against left-handers, so played him primarily against righties, and he came through. Threw good for 3.3 WAR, tied for second in the league in stolen bases, 839 OPS, 16 home runs, 55 RBIs. From there, it was pretty bad. Benintendi was fairly good after coming over to us, 781 OPS. That contact dropped from an 80 down to a 63, so I've got some concerns over what I wanted to do here. He doesn't want a lot of money. I still don't want to pay him $10 million. I'd be more comfortable at around 8. But even with that, I'm not entirely sure. I was hoping that a 3-hole hitter with 2 high on base guys ahead of him would drive in a lot of runs, and he drove in 25 runs in 48 games, which, what if you extrapolate that over 162, that's what, 80-ish RBIs, somewhere in there, 80 to 90, so not bad, but not fantastic. And we've got lots of other holes to fill, and we have plenty of outfielders. So Freudis Nova had an okay season. 772 OPS, 462 slugging. Lewin Diaz, I'm surprised his WAR was as low as it was, 0.5. He had 38 home runs, knocked down 120. I'm assuming a lot of that is his defense. Well, I mean, he was bad, but he wasn't that bad. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure why. I mean, with those numbers, his WAR was as low as it was, but he's, still only 25, so plenty of room for growth there. And not much else. I mean, a lot of guys with double-digit home runs. Rizzo, Bubba Thompson, Freddie Galvis, Chris Taylor, Michael Chavis, and Austin Hedges. Blade and Larnack are 2 of our prospects, and Blade ended up hitting 400 in limited time. Not a lot of power. 1 home run, 7 RBIs in 60 at-bats, and Larnack was only 5 of 32, so not great, but still young. Pitching, Corbin Martin was 12-6, really good year for him, 12-6, 3.52 ERA, 3.84 WHIP, 3.7 WAR. Clark Schmidt was a Rule 5 pickup from the Yankees. He was 6-8, 4.17 FIP. You can see we had 5 guys worth more than 1 WAR. Pablo Lopez came back, pitched 3 games, and only pitched 5 2/3 innings in those 3 games, gave up 15 runs. So I probably should have just sat him for the season and not worried about it, but I was anxious to get him in the rotation, and it didn't go well. So that's fine, though. We didn't need him for this season. A lot of ERAs in the 4s. But potentially next year we'll be looking at a top 3 of Lopez, Garrett, and Martin, which could be a whole lot worse. Future also looks relatively bright, as we currently have the 4th best minor league system. That didn't take long, only 2 years. If you compare us to the other expansion team, Charlotte, they are 12th. So we've got Palacios, who was a international free agent signing. And then Cato was our first pick that we signed. He was the 2nd round pick last year. And then Cervantes was our 2nd number 1 pick this year, and then Bo Naylor and Owens was our second round pick this year. So looks like we've done a pretty good job with our drafts. So we got a little bit of work to do before we get into free agency and the like. Let's take a look at our mail. So season goals, he 77 and 85. He wasn't thrilled with, but and he wasn't. We did better at shortstop, but not where we wanted. Attendance, prospect, farm system was all really good, so he's happy with us. New budget, we have a payroll budget of approximately $95 million. And a bit of a surprise, our 24-year-old catcher, Kuba Bess, retired after a 281 season in high A ball. We actually traded him we picked up him and Michael Lorenzen for Domingo Leyba last year, so that was kind of a bust, but that's okay. Our contract was extended for 4 years. We lost our bench coach, and we've already talked about the prospects. So we do have an offer in for a new bench coach. Walt Weiss is who we went after. Not that that's overly important, but let's go to salary arbitration. So we are not going to bring any of these players back at all. I'm not even going to offer any of them qualifying offers because they're all going to want significantly less than that. And if they go to free agency, that's fine. So Pablo Lopez, he wants $6 million. He's not interested in discussing with us. That's fine. Brett Conine wants 1.5. Let's give him 1.5. And again, I talked about this in my Cubs series. I do this with all my players because they get, or at least all my popular players, because they get. I'm gonna withdraw Jimmy Nelson because they get. You get that bump for fan interest if you re-sign somebody that the fans like, even though it's technically not a signing. So, if Pablo Lopez was a popular player, I would get a fan interest bump. Hang on just a second, guys. Back, sorry about that. You get a fan interest bump when those players sign that you don't get if you just go to arbitration. So I always try to offer the players arbitration. I wish I could offer Lopez arbitration, but he's not happy with me right now, so that's fine. Any of my minor leaguers I want to offer extensions to? I mean, we may as well just do it this way. Let's do it this way. Most of them aren't going to take it because they want an actual contract, but if we can sign some of them, then I don't have to worry about it. All right, so we have $34 million for free agents, $24 million for extensions. Our development budget continues to get raised, and I mean, I'm fine with that. It's up to $31 million now, but so we got a little bit of money to spend. Is there anybody that, I mean, I'm going to look to move Osuna. I mean, he was really, really good last year. But again, if we can get something for him, the same version of him, only younger and maybe not quite as developed, that would be the right move to make. The fact that they are sucking up so much of our budget with player development. I mean, that's, I say it's okay, but I don't like the fact that my draft budget is super high. I'm gonna have to lower that because you can get some additional money there. But it eats away at your other financials, the other places you can pick up some money. So what I'm gonna do, and this is where I was talking in the last episode about kind of wanting to go through my roster to figure out who the important chips were. But there are players in here that I'm going to look to move, not for financial reasons, but just to see if we can move two players and get a slightly better player back in exchange. Like Michael Chavis, for example, is okay, but he is what he is at this point. He's 27 years old. He's going to hit 240 to 250 with 20 to 25 home runs, which has, I guess, some value, but it doesn't have value that you want to spend a whole lot of money on. Have a lot of outfield depth, young outfield depth, but nobody who's elite. So we've got players like Blade, we've got Larnach, we've got Armenteros, we've got Tristan Cassius, we've got Ryan Valade, we've got Brendan McKay and Apostle and Ornelas and a whole bunch of players, and Muzziotti, who are good but not great. So if I could package two of them together and get somebody who's better, that's kind of the route I want to take. So that's going to be one of the things we look at in the off season. So that being said, I am going to sim up now to arbitration. And actually, I'm going to sim up really quickly to arbitration and free agency. And, well, hang on a second. No, we got to show you. We didn't go over here. Let's just review. Got to take all these guys off the. Is it going to make. I don't want to vote for the awards. That's not what I want to do. Let's go here. So you can see the Cleveland Indians. This is what I want to show you. Cleveland Indians won the World Series to beat the Dodgers 4-1, and now it switches to. I love it when it does this. It switches to an independent league. Why did it do that? All right, let's do it again. The Indians beat the Dodgers 4-1 in the World Series. Dodgers beat the Braves. Indians beat the Angels. So at this point, I am going to go ahead and sim ahead to arbitration, free agency. And when we come back, we'll take a look and see what free agents are available and come up with a plan. Be right back. All right, it is free agency time. And before we take a look at that, let's just take a look at the awards that we had a part in. So Gian Q, as expected, won the Gold Glove at second base. He was also a Platinum Stick Award winner, and he was the American League's top rookie, beating out Wander Franco. So really solid pickup for us there. And we'll see how this offseason goes, and then we'll be able to figure out if he's somebody that we're going to move or if we're going to make a go at it. So big name here, Francisco Lindor on the free agent market. It'd be interesting to see what he wants. It'd be nice to pair him. He wants $40 million over 10 years. It'd be nice to pair him next to Q in that middle infield. But we'll get there. Let's take a look at international free agents. And as always, it's garbage. Free agents, Lindor, Sale, Gallo, Diaz. There's some decent names here. Clevenger, who's hurt. Omar Mazzara hit 40 home runs. So there's some decent names. So let's do this. So let's call up the players that we know, because we should have more money now. Oh, we got 39 million, so we don't have a ton. So we have $39 million. All right. So is there anybody that is in AAA that we know we're going to call up? So we're going to call up Durant. So our catching situation next year is going to be Naylor and Durant. So we're pretty much set there. We need a middle infielder, not Starlin Castro. So we need a shortstop. And that's, do we make a run at Lindor? We would have to cut back on payroll elsewhere, but that's something we can talk about. Cassius and Vlad will stay in AAA for now. McKay's going to come up, and then we just have too many. We have too many first basemen. So one of these guys is going to have to go, and it's likely to be Chavis just because he's the least flexible. No, I don't know. Is he? I mean, McKay's a better hitter, but he can only play first base, but he can also pitch. So I would say Chavis is probably the most replaceable in that option. And then pitching. We need to, and I think we're okay in the starting rotation. Lopez, Garrett, Martin. This might be the time to. He's not much better if we make him a bullpen arm. One of these guys will be moved to the bullpen. I think starting wise we're okay. But if we put him there, yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm not crazy about Blade being my starting left fielder. So Thompson can hold his own in center field. Lee is fine there. McKay is going to hit really well against righties. And how does Chavis does? I mean, maybe I have a platoon there with McKay and Chavis. Between the three of them, they play DH and first base. Larnach, I mean, he should really be my DH. Which means I need a backup outfielder who can play multiple positions. I need a shortstop. I need a left fielder. And I'd like to get a bullpen arm without spending a ton of money. So let's just really quickly see what happens if we do this. Let's see if we can free up any sort of money at all. Yeah, I mean, there are some AAA, or there are some prospects here. I don't know how good most of them are, but there are some, like Luis Garcia. It's number 77 prospect in baseball. He could be a good option. Hate trading with the Dodgers. Jordan Balazovic. He's not going to overpower anybody, but he's pretty solid across the board. Cooper Trinkle. Oh, wow. Number 14 prospect in baseball. I might have to make this move just because. I mean, he's the number 14 prospect in baseball. And then we just figure out do they have a bullpen arm? It's young. Maybe not fully developed. Got Chris Bryant. Eduardo Rodriguez. I got some decent young talent. 21-year-old. All right, well, that's, at least I know it's there. And what happens if I do this? Wow, okay. Sure, Zachary Murray. I'll take the number 14 prospect in baseball. All right, so let's go and take a look at what we got. As much as I would love to have Lindor, I can't, $43 million, I don't think that's feasible. So we will probably put a pin in that, and if that comes down, maybe we can make a run at him at that point, but not for what he's asking for. Kirby Yates. So we said, all right, let's do this first. Let's look at outfielders first, because that's going to be an issue, I think. Yuck. to offer him a minor league contract right off the bat. Yeah, I mean, I think we have to bring Benintendi back. And his numbers have come down, so let's see if we can do this. Will he take that? He will. Okay, so 3 years at $25 million. That gets us, assuming he signs, that gets us our starting left fielder. I want. What do I want? We need someone who can play all 3 positions. All right, so I'm going to mess around with this. I don't want to spend too much time sitting here and fiddling with the different options. So I'm going to, we talked about what we needed, starting left fielder, so that might be Benintendi. Backup outfielder who can play all 3 positions, shortstop, and potentially a relief pitcher. So that's what I'm going to look for, be it either through trade or free agent signing. And we will be back at the Rule 5 draft. Hang tight. All right, we are back. It is almost Rule 5 draft time. I just wanted to kind of bring you up to speed, and then we'll get to the draft. So some of the signings that took place: Francisco Lindor signed with the Phillies, 8 years, $304 million. So that was something we weren't going to touch. It's a lot of money, a lot of years, but he's a good player. Chris Sale signed with the Cubs, 5 years, $130 million. That seems about right. Assuming he can stay healthy, which is, I mean, he stayed healthy in this. His innings were way down last year, but he stayed healthy. Nomar Mazara signed with Colorado, about $20 million, $25 million, $22 million a year. I hit 41 home runs last year for the White Sox. He could hit 60 in Colorado. Washington signed Luis Severino. In this game, Severino has lost pretty much all of his stamina, and he's become a reliever. You can see he got injured. He missed all of 2019, as everybody knows. Missed all of 2020 for us, and then came back in 2021, and the stamina was just gone, and he was a reliever. Texas signed Gary Sanchez to a 5-year, $60-ish million contract. Only hit 168 last year. And the Red Sox have signed Mike Clevinger. So they're putting together the Cleveland Indians' old rotation. They already have Trevor Bauer. So some of the moves that we have made. We signed Dansby Swanson to play shortstop for us after Lindor went. He's average across the board. He's not gonna be a great hitter, but he's very, very good defensively. His positional rating isn't very good, but his defensive ratings are excellent. And if he puts up this kind of season for us this year, same year that he had for Kansas City last year, I will certainly take it. My expectation is that he's going to be closer to this, kind of that 240 to 250-ish, but it's only for 1 year. It's only $4.5 million, so we signed Johan Ramirez, just a minor league depth. 3 really good pitches, good stuff. And we signed, let's go back to November, Darwinian. Oh, we made a trade too, which I'll show you in a second. Hopefully you didn't see it. we signed Darwinian Hernandez from the Red Sox to about a 2-year, $3 million contract. Hernandez is somebody, could be really hit and miss because of that control, but 100 level stuff, 60 movement, and 290 plus pitches. Just can't pass that up. I mean, you might get a season like this where he puts up a 7.71 ERA, or you might get a season like this where he strikes out 67 in 43 innings. You just don't know. So for what we're paying him, if it turns out to be a bust, we can always cut him. And then the big trade that we've made so far is we sent Trevor Larnach Nelson Acosta and Sherten Apostle to the Red Sox, getting Alex Verdugo in return. So let's take a look at what we gave up first. First, we gave up Acosta, who's just a nothing prospect, 25-year-old, half star. Sherten Apostle, who isn't terrible, but he's behind like 4 other players at third base at 28 home runs in Double-A last year. And Trevor Larnach, who, to be fair, is a very, very good hitter. Very good gap power, pretty good home run power, pretty good discipline, decent contact. Okay in the outfield. Hit 50 extra base hits in 113 AAA games last year, 758 OPS in AAA. But he's 25 years old. His contact and his defense will never be as good as what we get out of Verdugo. Now, there are the obvious red flags with Verdugo, but 87 level contact. He's a much better defensive outfielder. His gap, home run, and eye discipline is all comparable with Larnach, and he's better to avoid Ks and contact. So he's going to be my number 3 hitter. He's also about $6 million less than what we were offering up to Benintendi. So once we made this deal, we pulled the offer from Benintendi. So last year he had 259, 769 OPS, 23 home runs, 89 RBIs. My guess is that if he's got 2 really high on-base percentage guys in front of him, he should drive in 100 runs easily. So that's my hope. So now if we look at our kind of up to the minute lineup, and this isn't the way the lineup's going to be set up, but you just kind of get a feel for where we stand. Oh, and we also made a trade with the Detroit Tigers, picking up Jared Mills for a couple of minor league prospects. Mills is going to fill that defensive role, the left center right backup outfielder role. He's 25. He's on the league minimum, hit 15 home runs last year in 98 games. So he can be a pretty solid 4th outfielder for us, back up all 3 positions. So if you look at, so now we're in a much better position. We still don't, one thing we do need now that I'm looking at it is a backup. We need a backup middle infielder because we got Rizzo who can Chavis can back up at second, but I don't have anybody to back up at shortstop. So that may be what we look for in the Rule 5. That may be a move that we make after the Rule 5. We could still use a bat. I mean, McKay has got really good numbers against righties. He's not bad against lefties. He may just be our DH. And then Chavis will be our main pinch hitter, and he'll play against lefties. We're really left-handed heavy. No, I guess we're not. We'll just have to see. So backup shortstop we still need, and then if a bat falls into our lap, great. Pitching staff hasn't really changed. Lopez, Garrett, Martin, Conine, Solis. We ended up not moving Osuna. I figured with the moves we made in the bullpen, picking up Hernandez and Ramirez, it would be beneficial to have somebody with high control. But, we're always looking to improve the bullpen, and he should actually be a reliever. Yeah, this is why I signed him, because his stuff was also 100 when he was a reliever. So we'll see how they do in spring training. And Hernandez has obviously got the advantage of being a lefty as well, so that'll help him. So let's go ahead and get to the Rule 5. All right, so let's look at our rosters really quickly and make sure there's nobody we want to put on the 40-man. We've got some room, so I may as well put Kessinger on there. I think that's it. I think I'm getting off topic here, but I think I am going to try to package Vlade and Cassius and see what I can get there. Muzziotti can only play center field. Yeah, so Ornelas, Muzziotti, Cassius and Velade, I think I might see what I can get for those four, but that's after this. So Rule 5, we have the 14th pick. Let's see. So Durbin Feltman signed with the Dodgers. They signed him and they never put him on the 40-man. Steward Aquino. He's not bad. Batters. Oof. This could be our pick, assuming he makes it to us. Let's do that first. He's still there, as is Luis Matos. He's in the San Francisco organization. And he's really good, but I don't have a spot for him, and he can only play left field, so we'll pass. George Valera's a good bat, but again, outfielder that I don't really have spot for. Ooh, there's some good players here. Alexander Vargas can only play shortstop. George Bell. Is that son of George Bell? Can only play shortstop. Can play both middle infield positions. He's a bad shortstop. Good bat. Really, really good bat out of a middle infielder, but Eddie Diaz can't hit. A lot of 2.5-star guys. And I could scroll through this. I could spend an hour going through this. I'm not going to, but I could. Deshaun and Devon Knowles. Eduardo Lopez is somebody I like to take a chance on. He always turns out decent. Don't need a catcher. All right. Let's just go back up here. So I think it's got to be Brian Rocchio, right? Can back up at both middle infield positions, can play third as well. I hit 381 in high A ball, 298 in double A ball. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Brian Rocchio. And then he will be our backup middle infielder. Okay, I don't think I should take anybody. Good. All right, so now I'm going to sim ahead to, okay, we lost Braden Fink, that's fine. I'm going to sim ahead to opening day. So when we come back, it'll be a couple days before opening day. We'll go through any and all moves we've made leading up to that time. We'll set our rosters and we'll call it a day. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, guys, we are back. It is almost opening day. And we made a couple of other relatively small moves. So let's go and take a look at those, and then we will set the lineups, set the pitching staff, look at prospects and whatnot, and call it an episode. So let's look at our transaction log. We'll go back to December. So, I mean, you can see everything here, but we signed Dansby Swanson to a 1-year contract, $4.5 million. If he doesn't work out, you know, we can trade him. We can just not re-sign him, whatever. But long as he plays pretty solid shortstop, we'll be fine with it. We made a trade with the Yankees, sending a 24-year-old half-star pitcher, getting Matt Barnes in return. Barnes hasn't been good the last couple of years. You can see 5.83, 5.40, 6.87 ERAs, really high whips, really high walk per nine. But he was cheap, and we needed another bullpen arm. He's got 3 good pitches, good stuff, decent movement. His control is even average. Will be okay. If not, he's a back end of the bullpen kind of guy. We talked about the Brian Rocio pickup, and then we made a deal with the Baltimore Orioles, sending. And I really didn't want to trade Hernandez. I tried to make this deal happen without trading Darwinian Hernandez, but I just couldn't do it. So we sent Michael Chavis and Darwinian Hernandez to the Orioles, getting Ryan Mountcastle in return. And it looks kind of like I traded first baseman for first baseman, but they're a bit different. Chavis has pretty much peaked. He's a low contact type guy. If you look at Mountcastle, he's the opposite. He's a high contact, gap power type guy. Still has some of that flexibility, can play first, third, and left, but most importantly, he's got some really, really nice ratings against left-handed hitting, which is something I'm going to need because I'm very left-handed heavy in my lineup. He's not a great defensive player, but better offensively than Michael Chavis was, and excuse me. So we gave up Chavis and Hernandez and got Mountcastle. We moved to January, and we signed Luke Jackson to a 2-year contract worth $6.5 million. It's about $3.25 per year. It's not going to blow you away, but he's pretty solid. 3 good pitches, good stuff, good movement, decent control. Has been the closer for the Braves the last 2 years, and he's going to be our closer for the time being, as we are without Osuna for the next, I think, 8 weeks or so. Did we do anything in February? No, did we do March? Yes, we made another small deal in March to try to improve the bullpen. Sent another minor league pitcher to the Twins, getting Trevor May. May's 33 years old. 4 pitches, decent stuff, decent movement, decent control. Was pretty good last year in Minnesota, and so I'm looking to collect arms, hoping that some of them work out because our bullpen is not very good. So let's take a look. I think our roster set. We got 26 players on the roster. So let's set the pitching staff first. Clear pitching staff. So we have Pablo Lopez is going to be our number 1. Corbin Martin is going to be our number 2. Braxton Garrett our 3. Brett Conine our 4, and Clark Schmidt our 5. And a lot of people have been asking me about Clark Schmidt. So that's something I'm going to keep an eye on. He's somebody I might contemplate moving. He is only 27, but a lot of people have been asking for him, and some of the packages that I've gotten when I've offered him up have been pretty good. Not fantastic, but pretty good. So that might be something we look to do. So Luke Jackson's going to be our closer. May will be set up. Barnes will be set up. Our bullpen is not very good, guys. Jax is going to be middle relief. Solis will be middle relief. Abukauskas is going to be emergency starting pitcher, and Johan Ramirez will be long relief. So not a very good bullpen. Once we get Osuna back, that will lengthen it a little bit. It moves Luke Jackson into a setup role. It moves Barnes down into a middle relief role. So yeah, that there's our rotation. I'm pretty content with, even though Garrett and Conine were pretty bad in spring training. They were both fine last year. So let's look at our lineups. Clear all lineups, clear all depth charts. All right, so right-handed hitting against DH right off the bat. We're going to go Q, Lee, Verdugo is our 1, 2, 3. And I'd rather not go 3 straight lefties, but I think that makes the most sense with. I mean, we're really left-handed heavy in our starting lineup, so I think we're gonna go Diaz. Split it up a little bit. Bubba Thompson. Okay. It's our DH. Do we go Freudis Nova as our 5-hitter? No, we'll stay with the way we are. McKay, then Nova will bat 7th and play 3rd. Unless, do we want to play Rizzo? No, we'll stick with Nova. O'Nailer and Dansby Swanson. So that's going to be our starting lineup, right-handed hitting against designated hitters. Let's copy that in here. And we got to get rid of the DH. Everybody up 1. We can do that to split up the lineup a little bit. All right, so if we come back over here, let's generate and take a look and see what it does. So it wants to play Mountcastle every 5th game at first base. That's fine. And then Diaz will slide in there at first. So when he's DHing, he will be the first baseman, and I'm okay with that. Mills is going to back up at all of the outfield positions. Rizzo is our backup 3rd baseman. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Mountcastle will get some playing time against righties. I mean, he's really good against lefties, so that's where, he's going to be in the middle of the order against lefties. But against righties, that's pretty good. So let's copy that and paste that. All right, I'm good with that. So now if we look at lefties, so same deal. Q's going to bat leadoff. Khalil Lee is not going to start against lefties. We're going to start Jared Mills in right field. So who do we want to bat second? I think we go Verdugo 2, Mountcastle 3, Diaz 4. So I think we do that against lefties. So we got to do it like this, though. Q. Verdugo, because Verdugo can hit lefties, right? Yeah, I mean, he's not as good, but still pretty good. Mountcastle 3rd. Diaz 4th. This is going to be my first baseman. Mountcastle will be my DH. Do we go Nova in the 5 hole? Yeah, I think we go Freudis Nova. And then I think we're pretty much in a. Maybe we go with Duran against lefties. I mean, that'll get him some playing time, which is what we want. So, all right, so let's do this. So do Bubba Thompson, then Jared Mills, then Dansby Swanson, then Rodolfo Duran. So that gets Duran some playing time against lefties. He's got some extra power. Let's copy that and paste that. So what do we want to do against lefties with no DH? I mean, I think we got to leave. Mountcastle can play the outfield, though. I think we do this. So against lefties, we're going to do this. We're going to put him in left. We're going to sacrifice some defense to make sure that we have the bats in the lineup. Come back over here. Just generate the depth chart. So, okay, so what's it want to do here? Yeah, I mean, I don't really care because I would rather not play some of these lefties against lefties. I mean, McKay can play some, but I want Mountcastle playing pretty much every game against a lefty in that DH spot. I think we're okay with that. So if we come over here, generate depth chart. Did I forget to generate? Did. Okay. Oh wow, it wants to play Duran a lot. Okay. Against righties, he's only going to play every 10th game. Because I want Naylor to develop as well, and we'll do that if he's playing. So Duran's going to play every 10th game against righties. Against lefties, it's going to be Duran, and Naylor will come in when Duran is tired. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Rocio gets some playing time. Cool. All right, so if we look at minor league system rankings, we're first, which is great. We have the number 2 prospect in baseball, Tony Palacios. Trinkle's 13th, Cato's 16th, Cervantes, and Naylor. So that didn't take long. 3 years to get the number one minor league system. We signed Palacios, drafted Cato and Cervantes, traded for Naylor and Trinkle. So good on us. Let's go ahead to opening day and see what it says in terms of where it thinks we're going to end up, and then we'll call it an episode. You can see we went 16-14 in the preseason, or spring training, I guess, which was good for last, which is weird. I'll take a 16-14 mark, I guess. I mean, granted, it's spring training and it means nothing, but still. All right. So it wants us to play close to 500 baseball. Has this changed at all? Yeah, this has changed. It's changed a lot, actually. What does that mean for... Yeah, we now have the 5th best minor league system. That didn't take long. Palacios is down to 13th, Trinkle's 30th, Cervantes 34, Baylor 54th, and Owens is 62nd. So, again, draft pick, trade, and trade. So, all right, that's fine. I'll take 5th. Charlotte is 12th. They only have the one player on here, and this was the guy they wanted, that the draft wanted me to take. But, you know, you never want to draft from a position of need, but I just didn't feel like taking a third baseman first overall. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it. When we come back next time, it'll be the end of April. We'll sim ahead to the All-Star break at that point. And that's going to do it. So until we talk again, guys, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.